Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zerl. With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick. Visit us at ihatecritics.net, everyone's a critic podcast.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our handle is CriticsPod. We record live on YouTube on either Sunday mornings or Monday nights or other random days, depending on our health. Right now, it's Monday night. And those videos stay up there if you want to watch them. I spend a lot of time decorating my desk, so please watch them once in a while. But what else? We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Alexa, all your podcatchers. Subscribe to the show if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts. Rate and review the show. It does help us out. And then, like I mentioned, YouTube. We also have Patreon, patreon.com/criticspod. It's the best way to help support the podcast. We have a new episode out there now, I Spit on Your Grave. Actually ended up being a really good podcast. Sean's sister, Amy, joined us. And I'm pretty proud of it. I know Sean's proud of it. Amy's definitely going to be back because she had a lot to bring to the conversation. And ended up being, I don't know, I'm really enjoyed that discussion and wish we're still going, to be honest with you. So that is out now,
and we got the next Patreon only episode coming up on February 24th, and it's going to be the top 24 movies of A24.
Yes, and we will be recording video and video only on Patreon. Now that I know I could do that, I don't know. I kind of like live on YouTube for the time being, but that might be a place to go with this as well. But that'll be exciting. We will be releasing these episodes to the masses as well a month after the fact. But I'm excited about that one. Hopefully we get another guest on to join us. And then TeePublic, if you want to get our merch at our TeePublic page, go to ihatecritics.net, click on the TeePublic link. You can get yourself a Willem Dafoe's Wiener shirt. We have a lot of other shirts: Batman versus Jesus, Cameron Diaz's shoulder, Lord of the Fitbit. All of them are out there. Or you can go.
But going forward, we'll only have Willem Dafoe related merch.
He is on our Batman versus Jesus shirt as well. If you're a fan of The Lighthouse, you'll get it. I don't know. I'm proud of that.
The more niche, the better. You know. This T-shirt you're wearing is based off a quote from Lars von Trier. So I mean,
yeah, it's not even our quote. Like,
no,
really, the only thing attributed to us is like Cameron Diaz's shoulder and Lord of the Fitbit. Even Batman versus,
and that guy's not even on the show anymore.
Yeah, you explain that one to my kids. Anyway, but yeah, TeePublic. If you go to that website and search Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast, you'll also find our merch there. But otherwise, ihatecritics.net is the best way to find it. I also want to mention the movie The Last Champion. I did not watch it again this week. I'm going to watch it eventually. I have been so busy at work, it's not even funny. But Patreon supporter Jason Bryan is in it. He's a Hall of Fame wrestling broadcaster. He's been to the Olympics. He's done everything. I mean, he knew Ronda Rousey before Ronda Rousey was anything. He knew all those famous fighters. He's got connections to them and knows them. He was friends with Gerald Briscoe. He's a big deal in the wrestling world, and he's in this movie, The Last Champion, and it looks like a good feel-good movie about a recovering drug addict or alcoholic. Similar to a movie we're going to get to later on, kind of. So... but I guess that's out there on Amazon if anybody wants to watch it. He's always plugging our merchandise on his social media, and I greatly appreciate that. I want to make sure I'm at least mentioning The Last Champion as well. It's about amateur wrestling. Let's start the show off. HBO, they decided to have let me share the screen so our live viewers can see. Where is it at before we get going? Here we go. Share. I feel like one time I'm going to accidentally put a naked picture of my wife up here or something like that. And
How many of those you got around? Jeez.
A lot.
You just randomly have those just on the desktop?
Yeah, kind of.
Bob Zerl, the only man who masturbates to his own wife.
Yes. is strange, isn't it? And anyway.
But the question is, does your dick get harder than Chinese arithmetic? That's a quote from this movie.
Oh my God, the little thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the conversation, but I feel like Jared Leto knew it was a bad movie and no one else did. Does that make sense? Anyway, the little things, HBO Max.
Yes, the little things. Denzel Washington stars as a disgraced former LAPD detective who now works as a small town deputy. He's sent back to Los Angeles to recover a piece of evidence from one of his cases and bring it back to his small town. And he gets, while he's there, he gets roped into a case being run by Jimmy, the young detective who replaced him, played by Rami Malek. This case may be related to a case that ended Denzel Washington's character's career. Deakins is his name. Deakins' career ended because of this particular serial killer case in which something happened. But this particular serial killer had a very particular fetish about biting women, which the movie doesn't make very clear, but that is particularly, I guess, a fetish that this particular killer has. And he gets roped back into it. He kind of finds a piece of evidence that everybody else had kind of missed at this particular crime scene, and Rami Malek brings him in, and they become kind of partners, loosely affiliated. This movie is so full of holes and cliches and just a lot of irritating stuff. For one thing, that really bugged me, and you can see this in the trailer. Denzel Washington does this really actorly thing that people don't do in real life, where he starts talking to the victim on the slab. Her corpse is there, and he starts talking to her out loud like no human being does. And one of the things he says to her was that you should have listened to that little feeling in the back of your mind. It's like, it wasn't her fault that she got killed, dude. Like, it's not her fault. Don't blame the victim. Which I feel like the movie is doing that. But I feel like that is like a line. These are like lines that, first of all, they don't mean anything. None of what he says here means anything. It doesn't help him figure anything out. He's just doing this because it's a bit of actorly business, and you want to give Denzel Washington the chance to do a lot of actorly business. And really, it's just nothing. It's no better than your average episode of Columbo. But Columbo's smart enough not to talk to dead people. This movie sucks. I hate it. This has got another scene in it later on in the movie where once Denzel and Rami Malek become partners, Denzel breaks into Jared Leto's house to investigate, and Rami Malek does that movie thing where he's the guy in the car going, come on, really, and sweating, and Denzel's in the apartment waving his flashlight around so we can see that he's in there, so it's bouncing off the blinds and whatnot so we can see him, and then Jared Leto is over here and he knows they're in there and all this crap. Terrible scene, poorly directed. John Lee Hooker is not a great director to begin with. He also is the director of The Alamo and several other highly cliched movies, but everything he does is really successful aside from The Alamo. And I hate this movie. I hate it. I'm angry at this movie for wasting these three great actors in this really terrible movie that really just doesn't go anywhere. And really, in the end, you don't know anything. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't amount to anything other than Denzel Washington's a dick.
Yeah, and even that, I mean, before I get to let's go back to that scene you're talking about where Denzel's in the apartment. Rami Malek's watching him from the car, and Jared Leto's at a bar that Rami Malek sent him to, where he said he was going to meet him. Had he met him there, he could have kept him there as long as he wanted. And Denzel had all the time in the world. Instead, he stands him up. So now Jared Leto knows something's up, and he, outsmarts everybody. There's also a scene where all three of them are in an interrogation room together.
The Chinese arithmetic scene, yeah. This
should be like the Pacino De Niro coffee shop scene. It should have been fun and great. And I don't know, like, part of me wants to be like Jared Leto knew it was bad and he's just sabotaging it on purpose. It was like, these are like three Academy Award winning actors, three of the best out there, three of the best of all time, in one of the worst scenes ever.
It's so bad. Like, Jared Leto is shown crime scene photos and he gets a hard on. and Denzel Washington cracks that it's you're harder than Chinese arithmetic, and it's like, this is not a comedy, Denzel. First of all, second of all, it's not a great line.
No.
And it's all terrible. And I just kind of wonder, and you barely even really get the scene happens so poorly. It's so poorly staged that you don't even realize what Denzel's referring to until, oh, you had a hard on. Okay. I didn't get that.
Right.
It didn't occur to me because that was not very well established. Not that it matters. Not that I want to see Jared Leto's hard on in that moment, but I mean, if that's what the subject of the scene is, I guess, tell me what's going on then.
Well, it also doesn't prove anything. I mean, which is really the point of the whole movie is they don't prove anything.
Right.
And which then leads you to believe as a viewer, you're like, well, what's the point of the movie if there is, I mean, clearly they got nothing. I mean, nothing was accomplished in this movie.
Yeah. The ending is basically Diet 7. Like,
oh. It's like RC Cola.
At least throw one of Rami Malek's kids' corpses in the hole or something like this.
Right, and instead you just find out that
nothing. You find out nothing. Nothing comes from this scene. Nothing comes from any of these scenes, and the movie just ends up going nowhere.
Yeah, and then Denzel's character, I don't know what they're going for with him. You know,
no idea.
He's not quite Stallone in Copland. He's not Forrest Gump or even that lawyer guy he played in a couple of years ago. He's not. I don't know. Like at some point, some people act like he's a genius cop. Others, I mean, I just don't know what they're doing, and and what he's not is a badass, and but Denzel Washington has so much charisma and is such a likable guy, and he bounces off the screen. He can't. I'm not saying he can't play a different role, but he's not here, and I don't know what their motivation is because he's all over the place. And I really, at a certain point, I actually thought that they were going to do a big twist, and it was going to be Denzel was the killer all along, and I'm like, that would be clever. Nah, doesn't happen. Yeah, when he was holding the Barretts at the end, I was kind of hoping that meant he did it, but I'm like, no, he just bought Barretts, so Rami Malek didn't feel bad about killing Jared Leto. That's literally all that it accomplishes. Yeah, Rami Malek kills Jared Leto. They don't know if he did it or not. Probably didn't do it. In fact, we don't know. They've ruled him out of certain crime scenes, so most likely he didn't do it. His character is kind of annoying because he's clearly a sociopath of some sort. Right. But he loves the attention of the police, and he loves the attention of Denzel and Rami Malek, but does it mean he killed anybody? No, and the movie doesn't appear to really care about that. Yeah, and in fact, if anything, he probably didn't, based on all the evidence they give you in the movie. Yet they kill him, and they feel like they did a good job, and the movie ends. And, I mean, to me, the only thing I enjoyed about it was Jared Leto because he seemed to know it was a bad movie, and sometimes he's laying it on thick, all the way through, and he's such a creep. And it kind of I found that entertaining because of how bad the rest of the movie was. And Rami Malek's just lost. He just doesn't know what to do. He's bouncing off the walls trying to find where this performance is supposed to go. He has no idea. Yeah, and Denzel's doesn't work, so it's just. Talk about it. I mean, look at that poster. That's fucking. I mean, it's not a great poster, but Jared Leto looks cool and creepy. Rami Malek looks like a great actor. What am I doing here? This looks like Denzel's like, I want a nap. Well, in hindsight, we know that, but if you don't know any of that, this looks like the poster for what could be a good movie, and instead, I guess it's largely just due to the names on it. But man, the reason I hate it so much is because of who's involved and how good it should be, and that's what makes it so frustrating. But some things never let us go. What does that mean? What is that? Truly, even having seen the movie, I can't tell you the context of that tagline. I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out, but I don't care.
I guess it relates to Denzel's character, but it doesn't. Nothing really matters in this movie. That's the thing, is that nothing in the end matters.
Yeah, has been failure of a cop convinces this, up and coming superstar of a cop to go down this rabbit hole of bullshit with him, and everybody is on the sideline going, "Don't follow him. He's an idiot." Which leads you to believe, why is he even around if he's an idiot? I don't know. There's so much wrong with this movie that you just need to stay home and avoid it, even if you are home.
Don't watch it on HBO either.
No. And that's where I watched it. But yeah, let's move on because I'm done with this one. Palmer.
Let's get to a good movie. So Justin Timberlake portrays a former star quarterback from his hometown, in a small town in Louisiana, who ends up returning home to his small town hometown where he was a sports hero. But now he's back after 12 years in prison. He'd gone to prison for attempted murder, which we'll come to find out throughout the movie why this took place and how it ended up that way, and how he's ended up where he is. He's living with his grandmother, played by June Squibb, who has a family living on her land in a trailer right next door. Juno Temple is the mom. There's a little boy named Ryder, is a real name Ryder Allen, the character named Sam. And Sam ends up living with Palmer and his grandmother after the mom, Juno Temple, just disappears. She just fucks off and is gone to use meth or something. And the little boy comes to live with them. And then when June Squibb dies, it's up to Palmer to take care of this little boy that he's never met before. No, by the way, this little boy is gender fluid. He doesn't, he's kind of into girl stuff. He likes to wear pink. He likes dresses. He likes princesses. So Palmer, having spent the last 12 years in prison, isn't exactly the most woke guy in the world. So this is very challenging for him. And because this kid is such a force of nature, he's such a personality, he can't bring himself to shut the kid down and try and take this all away from him. So he begins to tolerate this and then comes to understand and actually care about this kid. And that's really what the movie is about. It's directed by Fisher Stevens, and he does a wonderful job of letting this kid portray this character in a way I think kids are. Kids don't understand when you try to tell them what gender is, or you try and tell them what a girl is or what a boy is. They'll listen to you, but really they're fully formed. They already know what they feel and what they enjoy and what they like. They are who they are. And when we try and force them to be something else is when we break their spirit and do harm to them. And this is a movie that understands that more childlike mentality of kids don't understand that we've created boxes that we've stuck everybody into, and that they don't fit into that box. They know, but that they don't understand that the box is there. And that's a great way to approach this. Kids think like that. And I really bought into this character. I bought into this little boy. He was so good. Ryder Allen is amazing in this movie. And, Timberlake, I was not expecting him to be as good as he is, but he finds just the right note of this character for me. A guy who is going to develop this care for this little boy and to find his compassion in his heart for the first time and caring for somebody who really needs him. And that's a really beautiful and well-told story. And in the end, I really enjoyed this movie.
It's pretty amazing that, you're talking about one of the biggest stars of our lifetime, especially in the last 20 years, in Justin Timberlake, and how this kid owns this movie. He really does carry it, and not because Timberlake's bad or anything, but you need this kid for everything else to work, and he has to do a good job. And he not only does he do a good job, he does as good a job as you can do in this role. Early on, I struggled with Timberlake only because I feel like he didn't want to say some of the things he was saying, like boys don't play with that, and maybe I'm bringing it to it, but it seemed like it was something hard for him to say. Mm-hmm. As an actor. But once he started to kind of grow with the kid, I think it's almost like the kid carried him through that part of the movie, and then he took off. And once he starts bonding with the kid, Timberlake, in my opinion, is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's a frustrating movie. It's a heartbreaking movie. It's in some ways it goes where you want it to go. So, but they give you things. It's kind of like the Royal Rumble last night, where you see like Seth Rollins or Charlotte Flair hanging in there, and you don't know where they're going to go with it, and they go the right direction. It's kind of the same thing here, where you could see them going a little too safe or whatever, and they play with ideas that could kind of ruin the movie, and that I like that because it does make you on edge, like, don't screw this up, and they don't, and that's kind of what's really cool about it. But more, what's really cool about it's the kid, Ryder, whatever his name is,
Ryder Allen. Yeah,
he is awesome in this movie, and this June Squibb, she's better than she usually is in an Adam Sandler movie. Juno Temple's great. I mean, the whole thing it's a really good movie, and some of the scenes are just just heartbreaking and frustrating. You know why he's in jail for reasons that other people could have been involved. Just adults doing things to kids that and it's not, you buy into all of it. All of it would be something you could see somebody doing, and it's just frustrating. And I don't know. I thought this was really, really good, and you should see it on Apple
excellent
TV.
Film.
But it's on Apple
Can't
TV
recommend it enough. And a great job by Fisher Stevens directing this. He really drew something out of this, and it's nice to say nice things about the guy who played the Indian guy in Short Circuit.
It was a different time.
Still racist, though.
Oh, I know. It was okay to be racist. Totally kidding. I don't buy that at all. Yes, that's Palmer. It's on Apple TV. Is that all you can see it to go to the theaters too? Or
I believe it's only on Apple TV. I believe it's an Apple exclusive.
It's worth seeing, though. Worth getting an iPhone to see as well. #like. First of all, I don't know if this picture belongs to that movie or not. But
it does and it doesn't. Like they actually asked me to take this picture out of my review because they don't want this. I don't know how they came about this image, but it actually doesn't belong to this movie for some reason. Even though that is the writer director and that is the title.
I could not find an image for this. I kept finding the documentary called Like about social media. And I didn't spend a lot of time because I had to hurry. But anyway, this is YouTube. They won't care.
So Sarah Rich plays a woman a teenage girl who just a year prior to this story lost her little sister to suicide. She's a year on now. She's still, her and her mom are quite sad. She's kind of leaving behind school and cheerleading and all of her friends and just kind of giving herself over to a life of mostly kind of drinking and being sad until she finally gets it in her head to start looking into her sister's social media. And what she finds is that there was this specific man who was interacting with her sister a lot via several different types of social media. And she decides to try and figure out who this guy was. The guy apparently doesn't know that the sister is dead because when our character, Sarah Rich's character, sends him a message, he responds right away asking her where she's been all this time. And she uses this to kind of feel him out, figure out who she thinks he is. And when she comes across a guy at a grocery store who uses some of the same phrases as the guy who was on social media, who was talking to her sister, she decides this is the guy. And it's a contractor. This guy who just does random odd jobs, a handyman. And she invites him over to her house to take a look at this bomb shelter that they have. She wants to have it renovated, or she says her mom wants to have it renovated. She lures him down there. She gives him a beer that's spiked with drugs, and then she knocks him out and ties him to a post. And for the next hour or so, she's going to torture him into admitting that he's the one who was who's the one who essentially caused her sister to take her life. The first 2/3 of this movie are really good. Sarah Rich is really incredible in these first two acts. She's given a lot to do. She's got a strong motivation. She's scary. Like, she's willing to go places that are quite extreme to get what she wants. At the same time, she's also being extraordinarily vague because she's kind of thinking she could be. There's that part of her that suspects, what if it's the wrong guy? And so that part of her is kind of nagging at her, but at the same time, she's 80% sure maybe that this is the guy. So she's going to torture him until he admits it. The final act, however, unfortunately, this movie just falls to pieces, and that's a real shame. The movie keeps setting up like it's going to deliver this big gut punch, like it's going to really hit you with something like a twist of some sort that's really going to bring things home, and then it never happens. And the movie just sort of peters out after that, and it's really unfortunate. There's 2/3 of a really good movie, and then that last third is just not there, and I wanted so much more from this because it's really good in those first 2/3. There's a really solid film there.
Yeah, it sounds good. I mean, you said something where I'm like, well, if Denzel would thought maybe if what it wasn't this guy. Anyway, immediately I have to start thinking of Hard Candy. Is there anything comparable to that? Hard Candy better? I mean,
Hard Candy is probably a better movie because it's got more of a basis in who did what. This movie's more toying with that notion because it wants you to it's using the suspense this movie creates is that you don't really know if this is the actual guy or not. That suspense lingers until the final act, and so it's using that, and it uses that really well until, again, the final act. Whereas Hard Candy has that going on throughout.
Right.
It creates suspense a different way, but a more effective way.
That makes sense. And back to the little things. No point are you wondering if Jared Leto did it or didn't, and you should have. You just assume he did because they assume he did. You're just trying to find the evidence.
You assume he did because he's got stringy hair and he's creepy. I mean, that's really the only, we're forced to just profile Jared Leto into being the killer in that movie.
See, that's the thing that you combine these two movies, maybe they work. I don't know. Oh, man. Such a so where is this available?
It's available everywhere, anywhere you can rent movies. It came out on Blu-ray and DVD last Tuesday, just about a week ago. So, yeah, it should be everywhere.
Excellent. Supernova. This is in the theaters, correct?
Yes. Supernova is a much buzzed about film about two gay men in a long-term relationship played by Colin Firth and Stanley Tucci. They're going on an English countryside vacation for what will apparently be the last time, as Stanley Tucci's character has dementia and is slowly slipping away. So they're going to go visit some of their favorite places and members of their family, and while he still remembers who they are. And along the way, it's going to be revealed that Stanley Tucci is going to end his life, something that he hasn't told Colin Firth about. And Colin Firth discovers this in a very heartbreaking way and goes about trying to talk him out of it. But this is the thing about Hollywood movies and terminal disease is that they prefer when you take your own life in the prettiest way imaginable. I can cite a couple of sources for this. I mean, the movie Blackbird with Susan Sarandon, Me Before You with Sam Claflin, among many others. But at the very least, with Blackbird, I got the thrill of watching Susan Sarandon, just kind of scare the shit out of her bratty kids, just turning Mia Wasikowska and Kate Winslet inside out. That was kind of fun. But she's a multimillionaire architect. Her husband is a multimillionaire doctor, and she can die peacefully in her sleep with the easiest drug imaginable. In Me Before You, Sam Claflin's character, he doesn't even have a terminal illness. He's just paralyzed from the neck down, but he has billions of dollars and is able to kill himself in this place in the Alps that'll kill you for you on your behalf for a couple million euros. So he gets to die pretty with a beautiful view with his lovely girlfriend by his side. And here, these are, we've got a musician and a writer who are going, and one of them is going to take his own life in this beautiful English countryside with classical music playing and white linens and a beautiful breeze through the windows. And give me a break. You know what? I can't relate to this. I can't relate to any of this. I can't relate to that because most of us, I would say 99% of us are probably going to die in a fashion that is not going to be dignified. It's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be pretty. And Hollywood keeps trying to sell us this notion, and it's really just a very upper class notion of suicide and death. And I just don't relate to it. And it feels remote to me. And it takes what could be a very emotional story and makes it even more remote by playing out the same tropes over and over again about happy, rich people who get to die in a fashion that is dignified and pretty and I'll just drift away. Good for you. I'm probably going to die horribly on a street side somewhere. I'm going to die awful peeing myself in a fucking hospital bed. Millions of dollars in debt.
Mark Maron's one of the specialists. He goes, I just hope like I die where my last words are like, wait, what? And that's how I die. I mean, something quick would be nice. There was a movie about two poor guys, and one of them had to kill himself, and I can't remember who was in it. I don't know why this reminds me of that, only not pretty, but I have no idea what the name is, so I should be even brought it up. But one of these days, like, someone needs to make a parody just called Pretty Cancer or Pretty Suicide or something, and just really go for it and make fun of these rich, white, elite people that give us all bad names.
Yeah. Pretty much. This is the thing. This is not a bad movie. It's a very professional movie. It's exceptionally well directed and acted. I mean, these are two of the best actors there are. I got no problem with that. I've got a problem with the way that Hollywood continues to portray this type of death. And especially this movie suffers from having come out so close to Our Friend, which pulls no punches about the end of life. That movie is very raw and real and heartbreaking about death, and it brings it home in a fashion that is devastating. And this movie just does not do that. You don't relate to this,
right? And the thing with Our Friends is that they were a well-off family. They were probably rich, but I don't know. They find a way to still make you relate to it. They show you the human side of stuff and all the struggles they have along with that, the death and how horrible it can be. I don't know. They just do a great job of, making you forget about the part you won't relate to. And then you just start watching the movie. I can just tell by the poster that I'm not going to ever see this movie, whether it's good or bad.
Right.
It's just, I'm not, I don't know. Just making noises.
It's probably going to get nominated for Oscars because of who they are, and it's unfortunate because I don't think this movie is good enough to deserve that. It's good, don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's all pro level effort, just going into a place that is emotionally remote to me.
Yeah.
The idea that you can just, if caregiver fatigue is a story that people tell very, or Our Friend tells that story incredibly well. This treats caregiver fatigue like something that can be easily avoided just by committing pretty suicide.
All right, let's move on to the next one. You didn't watch this one, so I'm going to bumble my way through this one and fuck it up. It's a foreign movie on Netflix that has English. It was English dubbed, so it didn't even have.
God!
It worked. Maybe I could have done the subtitles. I didn't have time to figure it out, so I didn't mind it. However, it's actually a pretty good movie. It's really intense. It's basically about a new cop has been assigned to transfer some prisoners to another prison. And it's a really cold day out, and it's going to be hell on earth. It sucks doing it anyway, but it's extra cold this time, so they know it's going to be a hard time. All these prisoners they're characters. They're overacting. They all could be like this big bad guy, and you never know who's behind what's ever going on. At one point, these trucks full of prisoners gets stuck, and you don't know what's going on. One of the trucks vanishes. They can't radio it. They can't get a hold of them. They don't know what's going on, and the cops and the prisoners are trying to figure it out. You're sitting there trying to figure out what's going on too, and and with all the bad guys being over the top characters, it kind of makes it a little extra fun.
Yeah.
eventually this voice starts coming through the police scanner, talking to the people in the caravan or whatever, saying that this guy in particular, I need him alive. You got to get him out here. If you don't, you're all going to die. If you do, I'm just going to kill him and you guys can all go free. All these prisoners can go free. And so now you have the cops and the prisoners trying to work together. It's, the guy swallows the key. It's really intense. Again, back to your other movie, #like the last act. While it just doesn't, you kind of don't buy why he does what he does. And that's kind of where it lost me. The intensity, the action, it's all really good. In a lot of ways, I want to compare it to Snowpiercer because that was just a weird, cool movie. And this is kind of a weird, cool movie in a different way. Mm-hmm. But the ending is it kind of loses me because what happened to this guy and who he is, I don't see him releasing a bunch of prisoners into the earth and for what happened. It's definitely a vengeance story, but it doesn't make the way he goes about it. I just don't buy into it. And that's where it kind of lost me, but it's actually a fairly watchable movie. It's fairly well directed and the action and the suspense is actually really, really good. So I recommend it. I can't say it's great because the ending does kind of lose me a little bit. But I thought you picked our classic because of this movie, so I just assumed. Because they do kind of go hand in hand. This is, to me, the closest one to the classic. But I mean, it's worth checking out. Obviously, you don't need to because you see enough movies. But
yeah, I'm a little busy.
But if anybody's looking for something outside the norm, this is on Netflix. Give it a shot. Because I had to work a lot and I tried to watch movies while I was working, I couldn't get to this one because it's hard. Oh, really? It's hard to read and work at the same time. I could listen and then kind of keep an eye on my phone, but I can't. Yeah. I'll lose stuff especially with the classic being a foreign film as well. But *Impetigo.
*Impetigo is written and directed by Joko Anwar, and it's the story of a curse in a village in Indonesia. The curse is left behind. Basically, babies are born without skin, and will continue to be so unless the original baby that was born without skin is found, brought back, bled, and killed in a fashion that is pretty horrific. Basically, this young girl was removed from the village at the age of 5. And when she was removed, it was found that her father may have murdered several children in order to lift a curse that was placed upon her. Years later, she's found working at a toll booth. This man keeps driving through her toll booth. She's creeped out by him. And he turns out he basically tells her that he knows who she is. He leaves. She looks. He's driven just a little bit up the road. He steps out of his car, goes to his trunk, grabs a sword, and begins walking back to the toll booth. And it's like, this is a great opening. This is really killer opening right here. She's freaking out. She's running away. She does escape that. And she finds that on this guy, the police give her this stuff that the guy had on him, and he had a picture of her family from this tiny village. And she sees that her parents were apparently quite rich because they had a very large house in a very small village. So she thinks, well, maybe there's an inheritance waiting for me in this tiny village. I should go there and see. And when she and her friend go there, they find this village is very hard to get to. They take a bus to the jungle, and then they have to take a horse carriage to get to this tiny village that doesn't have any electricity. And strangely enough, there are no children in town, which is very weird. So she's she's kind of freaked out by it. Her friend is kind of just, let's find the guy who has this and find out if your inheritance is here. And then the story unfolds from there. This movie is creepy as hell. It got incredible atmosphere 2 really terrific central performances, some really, really clever, creepy stuff that takes place in this movie involving puppets. That's all I'll say. It's creepy in a way that is very inventive. I really, really like this, even as it is. There's some of it that's a little bit not predictable, but kind of cliche in terms of how they figure out the ending. But overall, this movie is so clever, and so, like, you can see from this poster just how exciting this movie is from a visual realm, how weird it is. It's got Joko Anwar's got a very weird sensibility, and I really dig it. This is Indonesia's entry into the Academy Awards, interestingly enough,
really?
Going for Best Foreign Film. Yeah, they chose this movie, this horror film, because, I mean, even though, horror films have almost seemingly no chance of getting into the Academy Awards, that's how much they believe in this, because it is that well directed.
That's awesome. I mean, I see the cliche as well with family can get under your skin as one of the taglines, but the visual is freaking amazing. I can't wait to get to it. I started it and I just knew I wasn't going to have time to really give it the attention I wanted to give it to, but I'm definitely going to, because I love movies like this. And when you think about it, some of the best foreign films of the last 30 years have been great horror movies. Old Boy, it comes to mind right off the bat. I mean, among others, I don't which sucks. And Let the Right One In. All these great movies. So I can't wait to get to this one. That's exciting that they're trying to see if it'll get nominated. But
good for them. They got a lot of confidence in it, and I'm glad they do. And I love this poster. This poster is incredible. I want this on my wall.
Yeah, I mean, I could go without the tagline and all the credits. If you just had the poster, the title and the poster, that would be like that. You're right. That's a frameable, light box type of poster you want. Might scare you at night. But. All right, let's move on to our classic.
Ladies and gentlemen,
by the way, that's on Shudder right now for people who would like to watch that. That is on Shudder. So if you have Shudder, you can watch it right away.
Yes, and if you don't, you can rent it, right? Is that
yes?
All right. Mm-hmm. All right. Here's the music for a classic.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event for the linear, legitimate, and universally recognized Undisputed
Classic.
I got to get this thing fixed so our YouTubers can listen to that instead of just me. It is I Saw the Devil.
I Saw the Devil from 2010, directed by Jae-woon Kim and starring Lee Byung-hun and Cho Min-sik. This is a story of a serial killer being hunted by a secret agent. The serial killer has murdered the secret agent's wife in a brutal, ugly, disturbing fashion. And the FBI or the secret agent, I'm not sure what they call their secret agency over there, but the secret agent decides that he's going to hunt this man down. Whoever this guy is, he's going to hunt him down, and he's going to make him feel the pain that his wife obviously went through in her final minutes. There's a lot to unpack here in this movie. This movie is creepy as hell. It's dark. It's disturbing. It's filled with blood and guts, and some really, disturbing and really terrible choices on behalf of this secret agent who thinks it to be a clever idea to play with a serial killer who you should not be playing with. This man is not to be toyed with. This guy is one of the great creeps of all time, and he can take a beating. He can take a hell of a beating and keep on going and keep on being a super creep while doing it. This movie is really effective, and I can't believe I missed this back in 2010. I didn't see this. I had no idea what this was. I kind of heard things about it, and I knew Hyung from obviously he goes on to be in the Fast and the Furious movies, but I didn't really know anything about this movie until this week, and just wow, what a movie!
Yeah, I mean, just what I don't even know what to say. The last scene is freaking the images. You're saying the secret agent's trying to toy with the serial killer, and it's not working. Brutal shit's happening. But it's not, he's getting in his head, or the serial killer is getting in the secret agent's head, And there's so much going on here that, again, you go back to the little things and you're like, what the fuck? You know, the characters are so complicated. Why would you make a movie that's trying to be all clever and whatnot and get rid of all the complication? That's what you need to make these movies work. And it's really impressive what they do here, and what they have to deal with, what the secret agent has to deal with, and what he does wrong, and why, basically he's capturing the serial killer, torturing him a little bit and letting him go, and then capturing him again and letting him go. And I don't know, you have to see it. I don't want to say too much.
Right.
But that final scene where he finally just kind of goes for it, I'm like, oh my, I mean, that's so, man, it was, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away either, but it's just filled with really, really clever stuff and really scary and disturbing stuff. And the serial killer performance here is just off the charts. This guy is incredible. Oh man, the places he goes and the things he's willing to do, and he's never. I mean, he's always a creep. Like he's never cool. He's never a cool serial killer at all. He's always a fucking creep, and he's always the worst creep. He is the worst person. And there's this amazing scene where he's been let go for the first time, and he grabs a cab, and he just happens to grab a cab that has been stolen by a couple of guys who are looking to kill somebody. And it is darkly hilarious and disturbing and violent and just an absolutely fucked up, brilliant scene. It really is. I couldn't believe the audacity. Just to put that in the movie was audacious, and the way it plays out is fantastic. Yeah,
it's an amazing title. And you look back at the great movies, especially intense thrillers like this, and it really comes down to the bad guy. Anton Chigurh, even Heath Ledger's Joker. In my opinion, this guy's right up there with all of them.
Amen. Absolutely.
I don't know
he
how
absolutely is.
I don't know how I missed it either. I could definitely see. I mean, a U.S. version totally, getting rid of all the complication. I mean, basically you get the little things, or just a half-ass remake of it. But I'm glad that hasn't yet. But I'm
amazed it hasn't been remade yet. Yeah. It's long, but it doesn't feel long.
No,
because it's got so many twists and turns to it, and it's so fucked up. You find out one of the characters has died just from him, the bad guy, just walking out of a room, taking his gloves off. It's like, oh shit, what the fuck did he just do? You're just left to imagine the horrors that he's just enacted in the other room.
Yeah, the stylized violence in these movies, I mean, in some ways they're responsible for Eli Roth, but in other ways the way they do it, even like movies like Audition and even Old Boy, I mean, I don't know, it just, there's a substance to it that's lacking in the American versions of these movies. This is an action movie, really, more than anything else, which is what's crazy about it too. It's not a horror movie; it's like an action, intense thriller. But the violence is so well portrayed, and
I've long had this like horrific fear of having that tendon in the back of your foot, right above your heel. It's like I've always had this horrific fear of that getting cut. And that happens in this movie, and I just about threw up.
And it doesn't, and it's not, and it happens in Hostel, and I think Tarantino even does it in like one of the Kill Bills. This is so much, even better than Tarantino's version. What they do in this is so fucked up.
Because he has to cut it. Like it's not even just it's not a slice. He's got to like cut it. It's so awful.
Yeah, like what they do in Hostel is clearly just a prop. That, I mean, obviously this is too, but this looks like real, like they really did it. Obviously they didn't, But
he just looks at this nurse and goes, "Wait here. He's going to need to be treated." Like, what? No, just kill him.
there are so many movies too that I know I've missed that it's just time. And now we were talking about getting Cronenberg movies. We need to get caught up on those, and it's like we need to find more Korean horror movies as well. But this was. It's 2.5 hours long, and it is so intense and action packed, and that it just flies right by. I mean, this is really, for those of you who hate reading, a movie like this is perfect because honestly, you could turn the subtitles off and know what the fuck's going on. I mean, I would recommend leaving them on because you'll get even more out of it, but it's that good, and it was a nice. It saved the weekend.
Yeah, really takes the bad taste of the little things out and just kind of makes you forget that movie even exists.
Yeah, really, everybody should see this after watching The Little Things.
Here's what a real movie looks like.
Yeah, go check out I Saw the Devil if you haven't already. It's worth it. All right, let's move on to 1991. Queen's Logic.
Boy, this movie sucks. I hate this movie so much. This is like every 80s New York character brought into one movie. and just every 80s New York cliche. It's the worst like cartoon sitcom version of New York. Everybody's from Queens and they got talk like this, and I can't believe you did that, and you're gonna leave your girlfriend at the altar. What you doing? Oh, Kevin Bacon, Joe Mantegna at his most obnoxious.
Were you doing Joe Mantegna there?
Yeah, actually it was.
Sounded like.
I mean, I could be doing any character in this movie because they're all trying to do that. Aside from Malkovich, who plays like a blue collar gay guy. So yeah, I don't know why Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie. She shows up about, I don't know, an hour into the movie. She hangs out with Mantegna, dances with him, and she's gone. Does not matter in any way. Kevin Bacon is pretty much superfluous as well. The real stars are actually Mantegna and Ken Olin, who plays an artist who's getting married, and all his friends are coming back to New York for his wedding, but he might not get married because he's got cold feet. Who knows? I hate this movie. It's so bad. It's just borderline unwatchable.
I mean, I'm concerned that we still have these. We're 2 years into the 90s, and we're still getting 80s movies.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I mean, at this point, I got to imagine Jamie Lee Curtis is the biggest star. Kevin Bacon's probably not quite there yet. Or he's close.
I mean, he's after.
He had Footloose already.
Footloose, so he's probably at his biggest stardom, really.
But Footloose had been a few years before that, right? And
yeah,
Tremors had come out.
I guess he's on the downside of the biggest spike of his fame, really.
Well, but he ends up being like a marquee name later on. I mean, not necessarily good, but Footloose is probably his last good movie.
I don't know
but
why anybody thought let's make Joe Mantegna the main star of a movie with Jamie Lee Curtis and Kevin Bacon. I don't know. I really don't get it. Yeah. I know it's nothing against Mantegna. He's just not a leading man. He's not.
And even Joe Montana at that point was he on the Chiefs yet? Oh man, I'll leave it to John Malkovich to at least try to do something though.
Yeah. He's giving you what he's got.
Doesn't look like the rest of the weekend was any better. This looks like total bullshit. The Applegates, I've never even heard of the director of Heathers though.
Yeah, I wish I couldn't find that. I think it might have been on YouTube. I don't know. I didn't bother to actually keep looking for it. Yeah. By the way, I just wanted to mention the director of Queen's Logic is also the director of Can't Buy Me Love. Surprise, surprise, another piece of shit. And he follows this movie up with Son-in-Law and Eddie, starring Whoopi Goldberg. So, real top-notch director there.
Son-in-Law is good.
Shit.
It's a Pauly Shore, right?
Yeah.
Applegate's directed from the director of of Heathers, which
It might be good. Who knows?
looks weird. I mean, it doesn't look good by any means, but it's rated R and it's bugs, so I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then the late Kelly Preston and Patrick Dempsey and Run. I haven't seen this one. Probably never will.
Yeah, no. Not available either.
Yeah.
You only get it on VHS.
So when I postponed to Monday and you're like, yeah, I can watch the 91 movies. Only one was available.
Another one was available, but I didn't want to pay a subscription price to watch it.
What was that?
Popcorn.
I don't have that on my list, so I don't know. I have a picture of Popcorn.
There's a horror film called Popcorn with a really great poster about just this beautiful woman taking her face off. It's really cool. I really wanted to see it. I don't really know much about it other than it's a horror film. But they wanted $8 for it, and I was like, nah, I'm good. I'd save my $8.
I wouldn't be surprised if I have seen it. Let's see. Google Popcorn. Oh, yeah, I've seen that poster. Never seen the movie, though.
Yeah. It's a cool poster, though, right?
Yeah, I suppose I should have screen shared when I did that, shouldn't I? That would have made sense.
Yeah. Neat.
I don't even know where I'm at. There we go.
There you go. Awesome. Yes. Like, see, look at that picture there, too. The picture of the dude. Like, I want to see that. That looks awesome. He looks like Frankenstein Unbound.
You didn't like that, though.
The movie's terrible, but it was watchable as hell.
I thought it was fun. I mean, it was terrible fun, but fun.
Yeah, that looks kind of awesome, actually.
Let's see what it's about. A master of disguise, deranged killer begins killing off the college students who are organizing a horror movie marathon at a paint-in theater. Huh.
And Dee Wallace is in it, so there you go.
Yeah, she never does bad movies.
Or she does nothing but bad movies.
Cujo is good. I don't hate Lords of Salem, but next week we've got Malcolm and Marie, The Wanting Mare, as Sean called it, a horse movie. Falling, Rams, and the documentary More Than Miyagi, which looks interesting about Mr. Miyagi. Pat Morita. Our classic is Mahogany, starring Diana Ross and Billy D. Williams. Is that correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
In 1990.
Available for free on YouTube.
Excellent. Hopefully they'll remember to put a link up on Facebook so you can watch it with us. 1991, Michael Dudikoff is back in American Ninja 4. Again, 80s movies in the 90s.
Yeah.
Goodfellas came out. Stop it. L.A. Story, The Neverending Story 2. Probably neither one of us will watch that. And then the biggest movie this week, Sleeping with the Enemy, starring Julia Roberts.
All of which are very hard to find.
Really?
Yeah.
Even Sleeping with the Enemy.
And L.A. Story is not available either.
Wow. I figured those two would be the...
Right?
Let me guess. We can get American Ninja 4, though, can't we?
I bet we can. That's probably on Tubi.
We're not watching American. I mean, you can if you want. I'm not.
I might. I don't know. We'll see.
But before I let you go, I want to remind you to go to patreon.com/criticspod to help support the podcast. It's the best way to do it. We're like I said, there's the I Spit on Your Grave episode that's out there now. Exclusive video version of that as well. That'll never be released to the public. And next month we're doing the A24 episode. So look for that. We're going to try to do one a month from here on out.
The top 24 of A24.
Yes. So look for that one coming soon. I can't wait for that. Otherwise, let's jump into Flick Chart and do the Fast and the Furious versus Inspector Gadget.
Fast and the Furious.
Where's my quarter at? No, I'm kidding. Ghostbusters.
I don't know the stories of a sex surrogate. I don't know that one.
Well, I do. Kidding. Ghostbusters 2, The Proposal.
You only masturbate to pictures of your wife.
That is true.
The Proposal for me.
Let the Right One In. Had to say that out loud earlier. Or The Rocketeer.
The Right One In.
Congo, Animal House.
Animal House.
The Birdcage, Babel.
Babel.
Inside Out, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Inside Out.
I'm agreeing with Sean, by the way. That's why I'm not saying anything. Matchstick Men, There Will Be Blood.
I mean, both those are excellent, but There Will Be Blood's a better movie.
Agreed. 22 Jump Street, Hugo.
Hugo's wonderful, but I would rather watch 22 Jump Street.
I agree. Election, Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, that's good. That is very, very good, man. I guess, like I said, the more watchable one is probably Election because I don't want to spend all night crying.
I agree. And I think that does matter in this situation because they're both also really good. And Election's not just simply a fun, bubbly movie. It's not like it's super bad. It's actually a really good movie on top of that.
Yeah.
Last Samurai, Fast and the Furious.
Fast and Furious.
I'll go with you on that one.
Pretty that's hard for me.
Or Saw 3. I'm going Saw 3.
That's not hard for you, but it's hard for me. Yeah, Saw 3. I love Pretty in Pink, though. I've not seen Sherlock.
All right. Team America, World Police, or Catwoman?
For once, I'm stuck going with Team America.
Sling Blade or The Holiday?
Sling Blade, though I do like The Holiday.
Yeah. Intolerable Cruelty? 2001 A Space Odyssey.
2001 A Space Odyssey. Intolerable Cruelty is not a bad movie, though.
What the fuck? Escape from L.A. or Troll Hunter?
Troll Hunter for me.
Escape from L.A. is terrible. Here's your movie's back again. Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, or Flight Plan?
Oh, Flight Plan. But they both stink.
Never Say Never Again or The Prince of Egypt?
Prince of Egypt.
No horse in that race. Star Trek or Charlie Wilson's War?
Both very good movies. Star Trek.
Yeah, I'd probably watch that first. Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian, or D2 The Mighty Ducks?
D2 The Mighty Ducks.
Now, is there a
Ducks fly together.
Is there a new Mighty Ducks movie coming out?
Is there? I have no idea.
I swear to God, I read that there was a new trailer that dropped.
Huh. I've not heard that.
I'm gonna find out.
Let's make sure this is true here. We're breaking news right here. Oh my God.
I wonder if you can hear this.
This is our home.
I don't hear it, but I see it.
I hear it.
Oh my gosh. Is this for real? This is new. This isn't like from... It's going to be on Disney Plus. Oh my gosh. Wow. And Lauren Graham's in it.
Yeah, that's how you know it's real. Yeah, if you guys could hear it, I'd play the whole thing, but it's on YouTube, so let's not do that. Oh, come on. Can't wait. It'll be great for the podcast.
No, I'm over the moon excited about it.
We can make it a classic. Dunkirk, Disturbia.
Dunkirk. Disturbia's not bad, but it's not great.
The Mighty Ducks. Days of Thunder.
I just don't know. The Days of Thunder is so stupid. But the Mighty Ducks is the Mighty Ducks. Mighty Ducks.
Watch in 1992. That's going to be your Ninja Turtles. Zero Dark 30, A Scanner Darkly.
Zero Dark 30.
Agreed. Syriana, Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins. I'd rather watch that than Syriana.
Agreed. The Dark Crystal or Rudy?
Rudy.
Fine. I hate Rudy so much. Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, Spy Game.
Spy Game.
I'll flip it for Josh. I win. I always win when it's for Josh, but never for myself. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 or Stargate?
Harry Potter for me.
I don't care. Scent of a Woman, V for Vendetta.
V for Vendetta.
I don't like it, but Scent of a Woman ruined Al Pacino. Rogue One, Twilight, New Moon.
Rogue One.
Agree. Basketball, Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. Well, I like basketball more than I like Team America.
Basketball is one of those movies that I can go to sleep watching. It's nice and comfortable. Yeah. Bull Durham, Bad Boys 2.
It's Bull Durham.
One of my favorite of all time. Man of Steel, Turner and Hooch.
Man of Steel.
I agree.
I find Turner and Hooch to be so gross that I can't watch it. Just that dog drool everywhere. I can't deal with that.
I actually like Man of Steel. Bolt, Date Night.
Date Night.
Yeah, I'm a grown up. Garden State, Saw 4.
Garden State.
Yeah. Wax on, wax off. Naked Gun, 33 and a third. I Love You, Man.
I Love You, Man.
I agree. Addams Family Values, The Craft.
The Craft.
Yes. Serendipity, The Time Machine.
Congratulations, Josh. You win this round. Serendipity.
Captain Marvel, 500 Days of Summer.
Ooh, man, I love Captain Marvel, but 500 Days of Summer is my movie.
Yeah, I was disappointed in Captain Marvel. Iron Man 3, Tomorrow Never Dies.
Iron Man 3.
Yeah. 30 Days of Night, Before Midnight.
Before Midnight.
Enter the Dragon, The Terminator.
Enter the Dragon.
I agree. I watched Terminator 2 the other day just to get ready for when it comes up this year. I don't understand why everybody loves that movie. We'll get to it later on, but
it's all about nostalgia, man. At the time, there was nothing more incredible than that. In 1992, that was the peak of all creativity at the movies.
Yeah. And I watched it with my son, and his comment was, the sound design's great and the picture's great, but the graphics are terrible. Because, I mean, technology has advanced, and the lighting looks really stupid now. But I just never, I didn't hate it. I don't hate it now. I sit there, and it's kind of like when we did, what was the classic a couple weeks ago, or maybe even last week, Notting Hill. I'm like, it's okay, it's a movie. But this is like everybody's favorite movie from when they were a kid, and I don't, other than the Guns N' Roses song, I'm just like, this is the best part of the movie for me. Ghost or Say Anything?
Say Anything.
Agreed. Have you? I was gonna say, have you seen the Bernie Sanders Ghost thing? But it doesn't matter. Hugo or The Land Before Time?
Hugo.
Should buy any GameStop stock. What Dreams May Come, The Bridge on the River Kwai.
Bridge on the River Kwai.
Yep. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, The Crow.
The Crow.
Fine. I don't really care.
I'm not seeing Jimmy Neutron Power Hour.
I have not seen either one of these movies. The Source Code.
Really? Oh, man. They're both really great. Source Code. We'll have to make Saturday Night Fever a classic, though, in the future.
And source code at some point. We've been talking about that from the beginning. Body of Lies or 28 Weeks Later.
I'll go. Fuck.
I can't remember. Body of Lies.
I don't really like either of them.
Yeah.
Like Body of Lies was really disappointing, I thought. And 28 Weeks Later wasn't that great either. I don't know, flip a coin. Body of Lies should have been way better than it was, but I find I would rather watch that than probably any zombie movie. Really. Most zombie movies.
Yeah, 28 Weeks Later won the coin flip.
That's fine. Which sleeping pill do you prefer?
Yeah. This is the great ending to the YouTube video. For the podcast listeners, Empire of the Sun or Gandhi. And we're just going to cut it off here. You figure it out.